Hey Purified family, I'm coming to you from Amsterdam today with something pretty special. And I'm quite excited to be turning the tables a little bit for this one, as I'll have an in-depth and honest conversation with one of our key artists who's releasing an album with us. And I'm going to find out all about the inspiration, the emotions, and everything really that went into it. And of course, about the amazing artist and person he is, Corren Cavini.
Yeah.
Corren, so nice to see you.
Yeah. Likewise. Always good to see you.
I'm so happy we can finally sit together,
Yeah.
have this talk in the Netherlands that is your home.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Good. Stressed a bit still with the album coming up, and everything about the album has been such a intense process in all levels, like in terms of the amount of effort and time that I put into it, but also emotionally. So it's like I'm really living towards the moment of releasing it, but I'm also really happy to share it. And there's like,
And let go of.
yeah, exactly. It's like 1 million emotions all running through each other. But I'm really excited mostly.
I mean, at this point, huge congratulations. You're ahead of me. I've never done an album. So it is somehow your home. The album is called A Place to Call Home.
Yeah.
Now you're sharing this with the world. Does that make you feel like you're sharing quite a bit of your inner self, of what you are as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been doing music for most of my life in different ways. And I think always for me, the point on the horizon was like at some point when I feel ready and sort of artistically mature enough, I want to do an album which tells the full story of who I am or want to be musically. But it took a lot of time until I was confident enough. And then a few years ago, suddenly there was a moment like, okay, maybe this is the moment to start working just not only on singles and club tracks, but to start telling that full story. And then it was a very long process of slowly sketching and making everything come together.
Yeah, nowadays there are not so many albums released anymore, especially in electronic music. But it is a big part of showing who you are, showing your diversity.
I think so, especially because it's great to do like a lot of dance floor singles and EPs, and you can sort of show who you are. But there's some parts of who I am artistically that just kind of get left out, I guess, when I'm just doing EPs and singles. So for example, the ambient part of my sound and a more cinematic part I can put into proper dance floor tracks, but it was really refreshing to work on a project where I just let myself completely figure out what's the story I want to tell and worry about, is it going to take a club track form later? That wasn't the first focus. The first focus was, what's the story, what's the emotion I'm trying to convey? And then after that came, am I going to make an edit? But not to be led by that, and to feel like complete creative freedom, not to lean in a certain direction and really tell a broad story. Like the album goes from literal just piano music to basically trance. To have that freedom to tell the full spectrum of my musical story, that was really liberating to me.
It's also very interesting, obviously, coming from the Netherlands, which is a huge global hub for electronic music and the industry itself. How did you tap into that more emotional, slower sound? For me, the Dutch sound is very ravey, very euphoric, huge melodies, which you've done a few yourself. The, let's say, more emotional side of it, and the more relaxed tracks that you have a few on the album that are very deep. What's that side of you?
I don't know. I feel like it's always been there. I've always loved it. I just haven't been able to fully express it in like my solo releases. So through the years, as I started learning making music and getting better at it, and slowly, getting to the level where I'm at today, I always made ambient stuff and listened to a lot of emotional music that wasn't necessarily dance floor focused. I just never got to release them myself. Like if I think of the records that mean the most to me, a lot of them aren't necessarily dance records, and sometimes they are by dance artists. For example, real big moments I remember in my sort of artistic development, and something I really loved was Joris Voorn's album called Nobody Knows, I think 2013, something like that. That really was a huge influence on me, because I think that was sort of his moment of just writing for the sake of writing, and not worrying about about the dance floor side of it, you know. And the way that album sounds, and a lot of other things that influenced me through the years, really has always left me thinking like, yeah, I want to tell this type of story someday as well. Just was a matter of figuring out the right moment.
Yeah. So speaking about moment in a world and time where everything is a bit more about loudness, speed, heaviness.
Yeah.
How do we fit in?
I mean, it's challenging because at any time in music history, I think there are always a lot of factors outside of you telling you the sound of now is euphoric, the sound of now needs to be hard, fast, whatever. But I guess for me, the start of the process of sort of letting go of what the outside world thinks, and letting myself be led by just my own musical taste, that started like, I don't know, I guess maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know the exact moment, but there was a point where I went from being really worried about what the outside world thinks to just having this realization like, yeah, I can try to be the cool tech house guy or the cool hard techno guy, but it's not me. And I think if something is not authentic, it wouldn't work either way. And I started noticing as soon as I did sort of follow my own taste, that maybe it doesn't explode as hard as some big artists do. It's much more authentic, and people do really respond to it. And for me, it means a lot that there have been so many times people coming up to me or sending me messages like what the music means to them, and to me that's way more meaningful than just focusing on the big hits or whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
It also sounds very mature, like you've been at this place, you know exactly what you want and why you want it. Sounds like you've also been in it for a while. When did you start making music yourself?
Well, basically for as long as I can remember, I've been doing something with music. It's just taken a lot of different forms. I remember when I think I was 8 years old when I started guitar lessons. And back then I wanted to be like the new Red Hot Chili Peppers. And there was like a really long phase where I was just, I always said I'm going to go to the conservatory, and then I'm going to start a rock band, and I'm going to be I always wanted to be a professional musician. It was only later that I figured out my passion for dance music. So yeah, it's really that's how it sort of started. And then somewhere in high school, I was always the kid that collected the records for the small parties, even like when we were like 13, 14, you know. So I used to burn CDs and just put them in a CD player. But then after a while, I started realizing, oh, I can also try to click them into each other on a laptop. So I borrowed my brother's laptop and pirated some DJ software. I didn't know anything about what I was doing. And I just clicked one track after the other, and then slowly it became more serious, and I started discovering DJing more or less around the same time that I started producing, actually. So they went very parallel to each other, those developments. And I got more and more passionate about that, and then I DJ'd almost any sound you can imagine. I tried it at some point. And I remember very specifically there was one club in the relatively small town that I grew up in, and I really wanted to play. So I asked, can I play there? And it was like a really urban, you know, dance hall. That was the kind of music they played there, and I wanted to play, so I had to play that. So I was this really white kid trying to play urban and dance hall music. which, you know, I learned some technical things from it, but there was one guy at that club who said like, yeah, okay, we're going to do a techno night soon, and maybe you can try opening there. And I had no idea what techno and deep house were. So I was like, yeah, let me try. Any chance to play, I would play. And because I opened, I needed to play some softer music, and that was the first time I actually got into house and deep house. So I remember literally downloading just the whole Beatport Top 100. And then as I started playing it, I was like, oh, this is really cool music. And that's the moment I actually fell in love with it. And then the real journey started of, you know, working towards finding my own sound and playing those records more and more.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then eventually I studied music production, and, you know,
Okay.
it's a real long story.
So you had quite a wide background musically.
Very, yeah. Yeah, extremely. I mean, music was around more or less always, as long as I can remember. But yeah, through the years, I've tried almost anything. And actually, to this day, still, of course, as an artist, I have my sound that I play. But if you look into my Spotify and what I listen, it goes in all directions.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Which can be so good
Yeah, I think so.
to have your mind also inspired a little bit outside of our small niche world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Actually, if I listen too much to the I don't like to listen too much to the music that I'm sort of in terms of sound, because I like to be, I much prefer to be inspired by acts that are a bit more outside of my
100%.
comfort zone and musical home or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of home.
Yeah.
So what is home to you, and also what made you call the album A Place to Call Home?
Yeah. It's the reason it's called A Place to Call Home is that all of the tracks and really the whole story of the album is like an ode to, some people might think of a home as like a physical house, which it can be. But for me, it's much more about having a space where you feel safe and where you feel safe to express yourself, to connect with other human beings. And that can take a lot of forms. So for me, through the years, I've known very well in my youth what it's like not to have a safe home. And for me, music was an escape in a sense, especially when I started discovering club culture. It became even stronger. It became not just a place to escape, but also to connect with others and feel absolutely free to express yourself. So in that sense, music is also, and club culture is a home to me, and really valuable in that sense. But it can also take the shape of having warm family, friends, people you feel safe around. And in general, through my experiences and everything I've lived through in my life, I've sort of come to realize that for me, this is one of the most, no, probably the most important thing in life, is to have a place where you feel safe. And there are very different situations around the world in a time, especially like today, probably in any time actually, where I see that being threatened for other people, and it breaks my heart. So I guess in the most broadest sense that it can be, this album for me is a tribute to having a place to call home, and the importance of that, and
like a refuge that you can draw back in and just feel okay.
Yeah. It could be a refuge, could be just a feeling of feeling loved and welcomed. The immense value I see in being free to express yourself and not feel like the weird kid or left out for whatever reason. And then for me personally, it connects really naturally to music, because music in times where I lacked safety and maybe a sort of sense of belonging in the rest of my life, I found that in music early on, in a guitar. And I remember when I was really sad as a kid, literally hugging my guitar, because I felt like that's
your safe space.
That's what made me feel okay. And then later on, electronic music and just I remember feeling so liberated the first times I actually started going to parties with the music that I really loved. And in times of like dealing with heavy trauma from my past, I remember some of the artists that are my biggest inspirations to date have really helped me work through that, you know. I remember crying on dance floors on several occasions just because it meant so much to me. And yeah, and I guess in a sense that's what I'm trying to do now with my own music, is tell my own stories. And even if one person can connect to it the way other artists have done that for me, that's worth dedicating my life to, I guess.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the gift you can get from writing music, touching people like that. It's
Yeah.
very, very powerful. Coming back to your album, you called your first track, the opening track, Home. Does it have a special meaning to you? Or was it mainly to set the tone of what is to come?
No, it was actually the track where the whole album journey started. There was this moment, I think it's a bit more than 2 or 3 years ago now, I can't remember exactly, where my mother got a diagnosis that she was sick. And of course, in a moment like that, what you do is you go home and you visit each other. And I remember first we were crying, of course, a lot. And then the natural thing for me to do after crying and connecting and talking, etc., was sitting down at the piano that's in my mother's place and always has been for as long as I can remember. And I just started not to write a song, just to let my emotions flow out, because that's the natural thing for me to do. And what I wrote in that moment is what turned into Home. And it was like 2 or 3 weeks later I had recorded it and made like a little score around it, but it was basically still just a piano song composition. And I was at my manager's place and we were listening through like a list of like 20 demos. At any point I always have like 20, 30 demos ready. And my manager and I had always been talking about like, at some point, if it feels natural, we might go for an album. And somehow when we listened to that track together, eventually we said it in words, but we both knew, this is the moment, and this is where the story began. And then very naturally from that point, I started selecting demos and compiling the story, and also going into sessions with other writers who have contributed to the album, feeling very emotionally open, but like very aware of like, this is going to be, I don't know exactly how it is going to be, but that track's going to be central in it, and this is the feeling it's going to have to convey, and this is the story I have to tell.
I also think you managed to have a great balance between, we touched now on some rather deep and nostalgic, sad topics, but we also know you for your very uplifting, euphoric melodies, which you have in the album as well. Maybe as a first, what are your favorite tracks of the album? Right now or back then? Or...
I mean, it's really cliche, but it really is like picking from your kids, you know. It's the worst to say, but it is true, because it's really hard to choose. I mean, the opening track, Home, of course, like I said, holds a lot of emotional significance to me. The 2 tracks I have on the album with Dan Soleil also mean a lot, because the sessions were really meaningful for me. I remember the funny thing was we had never written or worked together before the day we got into the studio, and somehow we didn't even talk about the actual theme of the album, but we started writing together, and very naturally these 2 tracks flowed out of it that both sound beautiful with his beautiful voice and writing, but also just very naturally connected to the theme of the album. So I really love those. And Agoraphobia is also because I played it probably the most out of all of the album tracks.
Same here.
As have you, I think. Yeah, that one as well. But you know, I could, if you let me go on, I'll probably name every single track
All of them.
off of the album. Yeah.
I remember you told me quite a interesting story about agoraphobia as well,
Yeah.
where we slightly touched the topic before of trying to save these safe places and sanctuaries that can be the dance floor.
Yeah.
Agoraphobia, what is behind that one?
Yeah. So agoraphobia translates. It's of course an English word, but it translates in Dutch to pleinvrees. And pleinvrees is both the actual term for agoraphobia, but it's also the name of a series of parties, which used to be in the Netherlands, which were like they had lots of different lineups, but the common denominator between them was it was always really melodic music, melodic house and techno before that was even really a term.
I know, I remember.
Way back when. And really pleinvrees were the most important parties in the stories I described before. And the sounds I heard at pleinvrees really were the ones that resonated with me and really made me find my own sound, I guess, and really like this is my musical place to be, I guess. But unfortunately, pleinvrees sort of had to stop because of all of the circumstances. I think a bit over a year ago, and I guess the track Agoraphobia is my attempt to take all of the inspiration that I got there and make it into something that's my own, but also make it as a tribute to pleinvrees as a party that we sadly lost and the immense value that it's had for me, but also in a broader sense, a tribute to all of those parties that are really great and really meaningful for a lot of people like me, but sadly are having a really rough time right now to just try to keep existing.
Yeah. I mean, the track, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Probably my most played track in the last half year or more. And so many people connected to it. Whenever I played it, this would be the moment where most attention would be right there in the room. Everyone's connected. Also, so many times when friends would listen to my sets or even on social media, they'd be like, what is that track? And to my friends, I'd be like, yeah, that's Corren Cavini, like from his upcoming album. Yeah, and that other one, yeah, that's Corren too. So there was definitely a time where I played a lot of your tracks while there were IDs and everyone would ask about it. So it's clear that you come up with these very catchy tracks that stay in people's minds. How is that writing process? How do you approach these big melodies?
I wish I could say this and this is the trick. I honestly, half of the time I don't know myself. It's of course it helps that I went to college for music production and music composition, so I have the technical tools to be able to express. If I have a melody in my head, I can express it immediately. But mostly I think it's about going into the studio, or where sometimes I'm writing these on the couch or wherever, you know, and just trying to express a feeling. I'm not even thinking very consciously like this is what I'm going to do or this is a story I'm going to tell. I wish I could tell you there's a trick or something.
Yeah.
Half of the time I'm not sure. Yeah. Sometimes there are these rare moments where I'm literally, very cliche, in the shower and I hear a melody in my head and I'm like, okay, quick out of the shower and write this down. But most of the time inspiration comes and goes. What helps is that I'm in the studio almost any chance I get, or in a mobile studio. So there are, for every good idea, there are 50 bad ideas that people don't hear.
Of course.
But yeah.
Do you hear music in your head most of the time throughout the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'm playing music. Like I usually don't like silence. I almost have music in the background. When I'm walking around the house doing chores, I'm always walking with my AirPods and my headphones on my head, because I just love listening to music. And thinking about music, and it's really a constantly going process, I guess. Yeah.
And coming back to the topic of having the right of your safe space and experiencing that, and you have a track that is quite clubby on the album. I'm very happy we ended up including it. It's called Your Rights.
Yeah.
Do you want to dive a little bit into that?
Yeah. So I talked before about how I feel like sometimes club and party and festival culture is really being threatened right now for multiple reasons, culturally, but also just financially, because a lot of clubs and festivals are struggling. And I really have a lot of issues with this, because sometimes club culture is sort of talked about as just being very hedonistic and very shallow, but I really don't believe that. There are places where it is like that, but really club culture is sort of a modern equivalent of, I really dare to compare it to religious experiences, how it used to be for other people. It's not just a place you go to party, it's a place where you connect with other people, where you can find belonging, where you can express yourself, and heal through, like I've done, through emotional moments. And to see that threatened can sometimes make me sad, but it can also make me very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very
you want to fight for it.
Willing to fight for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the vocal in the track is, you got to fight for your right to be a freak in the night. And that's exactly what it's about. It's there are other tracks that are melancholic tributes to what it is, and this is a track where I say, no, we're gonna fight for this. At least that's what I'm trying to convey in the track. And it's about how important I think club culture really is.
100% agree. Did you record that vocal yourself? Is it your voice?
Yeah.
Love it.
As in, except for the featuring tracks, of course, any vocal in my tracks is my own. That's why they're all robotic, because I can't sing.
We should hear some of that to judge that.
I mean, maybe.
So how did the final selection come about?
Well, it was a long process. We had like a lot of demos. There was a certain point where I had like a list of demos where I was like, okay, I think this is going to be the album. And then I started thinking about, okay, do I want to release this by myself? Do I want to find the right partner for it? And I thought about it a bit. But of course, at a certain moment, I really found that both personally and in terms of vision for the music, I really resonated with Purified and you personally as well. So then I sent you a list of demos, and I think from the list I sent then, probably 80% is still the same on the final album, but there were some tracks that we scratched and added some in there. There were a couple that were never on the table to be taken out, because they were just too valuable emotionally, even besides being just the best tracks for the album. But really it was a process of slowly selecting, and in every track there's an edit to be done, and then another edit, and then that's just the way I am.
I still have many versions of different tracks on my computer, and I'm always like, am I playing the right version? I hope so.
I have the same myself still. I've adjusted the system for sort of knowing which version is which 20 times, and I'm trying to find a system so I know myself which version is the right one, but I just get lost sometimes, because I go back to 20 versions ago and realize, oh, that was actually better, and then start, it can be messy, but it's part of the process.
So apart from aligning sonically, I think you're a great representation for Purified. The music, the variety that you put out, the talent that goes into your songwriting, from touching someone in a, let's say, more emotional way to the very euphoric, more energetic tracks. I love that you have this span, and but even more than that, I think we, like you mentioned, we align on a more personal level as well. So how important is that for you, that trust that you have with the label?
Hugely.
Yeah.
Yeah, immensely. I mean, I've worked with quite a couple of labels, and also around that in the teams I've worked with. And really what I've learned in working with different people is I've started to trust my personal connection with people is usually the best indicator for how good a collaboration is going to be. So with Purified, it's that way. In the past, I've done a lot of things with Ilke Klein's label, and it's no coincidence that I also have a really good personal connection with Ilke. I think this is very important because I've tried to work with other parties, and I've heard the same from other artists, where maybe on paper they have a huge profile, or they're a major, or they're this or that, but they will try to shape you into something you're not. And what I really believe in is, if you're trying to shape yourself into something you're not, it might end up giving you a short-term boost, but it won't be durable. Because if it's something you're not and it's not authentic, you can't keep playing unless you're the best actor in the world, but that's a different job, you know.
Yeah.
It won't stick. It won't last. And I remember there were a couple, as I was sort of figuring out how and where and with whom are we going to do the album. There were a couple of moments where I talked to this person and that person, and there were a couple of moments throughout the year, not past year or the year before, I don't remember exactly, where I started realizing, hey, Purified is not only a cool label in terms of how the events look, there's a personal connection there. Somehow every lineup they do where I'm not on it, it's like a lineup I would probably curate myself. So we're just really aligned musically. And that really confirmed for me, like, this is the right place, the right home, if you will.
Thank you. I also really think that it's so important to stay true to yourself, and what you mentioned with being authentic, it's the only way to go, really, because it's the only thing that will translate to the crowd and that makes you you.
Yeah.
Your stage presence is something unmatchable. Like anyone who's seen you play, you have so much energy up there. Is that the true you, and what makes you feel that way, and are you always like that?
It's funny, actually. This is also something that I've had to go through a sort of process, because I used to be, especially when I first discovered house and techno, I used to be obsessed with being really cool macho DJ and not showing any emotions like the cool DJs do. But honestly, it's DJing to me is the most fun thing in the world. And why would I be like cool macho guy looking down and doing all of the technical things all the time when I'm doing the most special job you can do? And my authentic self is crazy, funky, highly energetic, a bit chaotic. So once I sort of grew the confidence to believe in my own sound, that kind of went parallel with also growing the confidence in being myself on stage. And myself isn't this, myself is this, you know?
Which is amazing to see, because obviously you have quite an introvert and calm presence as well, that one wouldn't expect this switch to happen. Once you're on stage, one could see, whoa, he's born for the stage. So how does this switch happen? And are you sometimes before the set maybe going into yourself and you have to prep this, or once you hear your music, you're in it and you're just living that?
I mean, honestly, it's not something I tend to think about too much. Of course, when I'm playing shows, there are like sort of routines, like I prefer 5 to 10 minutes before my set to be a little bit more closed off, so I can actually think about what I'm going to do, etc. And then when I start a set, probably the first 1 or 2 tracks, I'll be focused a bit more on the technical things. But once I'm in there, it's not like there isn't a single moment where I think, oh, I haven't jumped for 3 tracks, so I need to, you know, there's nothing like that. It's just whatever feels natural. There will also sometimes be sets where I'm just looking down half the set, but
And how do you feed off of the crowd? Is that a big part or not so much? It's more about how you feel connected
No,
with your music.
huge. Yeah. I think it's probably more important than feeling connected with my music.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, as I got into DJing, what I love about DJing is interacting with the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the music, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it's secondary,
Mm-hmm.
but it almost is. It's
Mm-hmm.
mainly what I love about music is being able to connect with people that are in front of me
Mm-hmm.
so intensely. And usually half of the set, I'm just focused on the crowd. How's
Mm-hmm.
everybody feeling? How can
Mm-hmm.
I adjust my
Mm-hmm.
vibe
Mm-hmm.
to what this room needs?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's maybe even, I mean, I shouldn't compare this and shouldn't rank this, but it's a really important aspect of music for me. And in a
Mm-hmm.
broader sense, it's what makes music meaningful to me. To be able to go to a country where nobody speaks the same language
Mm-hmm.
that I do,
Mm-hmm.
and still go home feeling like I have connected with all of those people.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of places where I'm not able to converse with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel at
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
It's no coincidence that there's a track on the album called Valinhos.
Yeah.
Valinhos is a place in Brazil
Mm-hmm.
where they have the two clubs, really famous clubs, La Roque and Am, and I went there for the first time in 2024, I want to say,
Mm-hmm.
to La Roque. And this was exactly what happened. There were two people there who spoke English, and I talked to them, but through them I sort of talked with hands and everything with
Yeah.
other people, and I
Yeah.
just felt this is a place I really resonate
Mm-hmm.
with, and it was worth a tribute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why that track's on my album, but it's just one example of how you
Yeah.
can really connect through music with
Mm-hmm.
people, even if you literally don't speak the same language.
Which is probably one of the most beautiful parts of music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of different places and connecting with them, so earlier this year we published your live set from Purified Johannesburg in South
Yeah.
Africa. I remember getting ready for my set as I was playing after you, and I'm at the hotel which was close by, and I hear the album tracks coming up, and I'm like, oh, this feels so special, because
Yeah.
obviously I know the whole background with the home, and Johannesburg being my home, for you it's so far away from home. How was that show for you?
Yeah, that was emotionally intense, very much, because usually I play a bit longer sets and I'll play a bit more different stuff. In this set, I think 80% or something of that set is just tracks from the album. So basically I was playing the album, and I think for a lot of those tracks it was also the first time that actually a crowd heard them. And I felt very welcomed in South Africa. I had never been there before, and really felt a connection there, and also was just emotionally very intense to be on that stage like that. So I remember after my set, of course, I hug some people and I thank everybody, but I took a moment to myself, and I just got very emotional and burst into tears and called home. Like I just started realizing, oh, wow, I'm here now on the other side of the world, connecting with people. This is what I dreamt of. This is what I did it for, and people appreciate it, and I appreciate it. That was a huge moment for me, especially being there also with the Purified family and friends, and
yeah, it was really meaningful. Also hearing the tracks we talked about so many times in person, played by you, seeing how it translates, it was a big moment for me too. I loved it, and I remember it to this day, and it's one of my favorite memories. That whole trip, by the way, I really enjoyed being in South Africa and somehow showing you a little bit of my home. How did you enjoy the country?
beautiful. The only thing I was really bummed about was that I was there for a short time.
Yeah.
And that I only got to experience such a small part of the country. Funny thing is, my mother has been to South Africa for work many times, and she's in love with South Africa. And many times she was like, "You need to go there one day as well." And I was always like, "Yeah, one day."
Yeah.
And then I got there and I was like, "Oh, I see, I see."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now he said, if there's going to be another opportunity to come to South Africa, for sure, I'll try to sort of take my mother and maybe my younger brother as well, because it's such a special thing to live through together.
Yeah.
And also because that's a whole different thing, but because of my mother's done very different but very meaningful work there as well, and I want to see that as well. So I definitely will be back in South Africa. And yeah.
How important is it for you to have family as part of maybe your shows or your whole career?
Well, it is very important, but not in the sense that I need them close at shows. My mother is maybe a bit like I am, a fairly introverted person, as are both my brothers. And yeah, so my mother has been to one show ever. Because I don't know, I don't want to fill it in for her, but I think maybe she finds it a bit scary and intense, which I totally can understand, because it's a lot of noise and a lot of people and whatever. But what is really meaningful to me is sometimes showing my mother something that I'm working on. And one of the most important tracks when checks when I'm working on something is just casually being, whenever I'm at my mother's place or I'm in the car with my mother, I'll be controlling the music and I'll be playing Spotify, and I'll sneakily play one of my own tracks, and I'll just see how she's reacting. And if she reacts and she's like, "Oh, is this something new of yours?" I'll be like, "Yeah, it's good. I'm happy with it." It's one of the most important checks actually for new tracks for me.
Does she recognize your soundscape by now? Because I do feel you have developed your soundscape, and I want to claim that I recognize.
It's not like she's like, "Oh yeah, there are these chords. That's probably yours." But somehow, subconsciously, I do notice that when I try to sneak another track of mine in between the Spotify playlist, she usually is like,
"Fix it up."
And if she isn't, I immediately know probably
it needs something
this
else.
isn't the one. Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah.
So your mom or your environment always plays a little role, even if in a subtle way. And I think that's so important, to have a very good backup in your family, that they support you. And
absolutely, and it goes way deeper. Also because, like I said, I haven't necessarily had the easiest youth. And even if the music doesn't connect, it's important. The part of my family that I feel very connected with is genuinely also like the second home to me. So it's like I have music, and of course I also have friends and other places that I value. But I really need to every now and then reconnect with home, and that's why my mother is one of the most important people in my life. For everybody, that's a story, but for me, it's especially so, I think. Yeah.
All right. Maybe moving to our beginnings. I remember your first few releases, and I remember you also from way before then.
Yeah.
So you definitely caught my attention with a couple of tracks.
Yeah.
I think the first one I had from you was My Mind.
Yeah.
Then another one.
I think you played New Beginnings.
New Beginnings.
Quite a lot. Yeah.
And then at, what is it called? A crying synthesizer.
Yeah.
You had me. I was crying along.
Yeah.
It was such a great balance between this nostalgia and this euphoria, and it just makes you feel all sorts of emotions. How did we come about working together?
Yeah, the funny thing is sometimes people ask me this, and truthfully, I have to think really deeply about it. Because I think, if I remember correctly, because people were like, what email do I need to send something to? And I'm like, well, I honestly don't know. I think, you started playing my tracks, and at a certain moment, either I DM'd you on Instagram saying thank you, or you sent me something saying something about my music. And then slowly but surely, of course, we did the first EP with Melancholy Party and Frostbite with Thijs. And then slowly, I think, no, before that, we met for the first time when I played a show at ADE with Days Like Nights, where we were on the same lineup. And then, sometimes you have it with people you meet in life, that you meet and then you're like, oh yeah, maybe I connect a bit with this person. And then slowly through the years. Yeah.
And I remember one occasion you said, hey, I sent you this track list and you haven't gotten back, or you haven't even listened to it, which honestly, I have to admit, sounds quite typical, because I try to listen to everything, and even if I listened once, I often need to listen again and again and again till I make up my mind if something fits and what the goal could be, etc., etc. Was that first process with us a bit too slow for you? What did you think? What was your first impression? Or
I don't actually.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't exactly
Great.
remember.
I'm glad.
No, I just remember sending some music, and like I said, at any point I'll probably have like 20 tracks ready, and I just start thinking about, oh yeah, maybe we can try something with this and see if there's a connection there. And and then I remember we released it, and it was a really good first release. At least that's how I remember it. And from there, slowly, I think the connection with the label and with you personally and the rest of the people around the label just grew very naturally.
Yeah. I also realized we had only 3 releases prior to the album, which
Although
actually it feels
3 EPs, right?
Yeah, correct.
So, but still.
And somehow it feels like so much more, and I think the reason is because they were really big tracks.
Yeah.
That I played up and down.
Yeah.
And everyone knew them.
Yeah.
And somehow the connection was good enough, deep enough, and solid enough that we felt like this is a good match for the album, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't instantaneous with the album, like this needs to be a Purified album, but like I mentioned, I started thinking, okay, here's the story I have. Okay, who could be potential partners? And it says a lot to me the way I connect with somebody when sending something. Of course, nobody can listen instantly and reply instantly, but even besides, when you actually listen to the first to the album for the first time, I remember you were quite enthusiastic from the beginning. Even before that, I'm constantly keeping an eye on which label is doing what. And there were a couple of other signs that I was like, oh yeah, there's probably a really natural connection here. I remember the first time we met in person, I remember I was wearing a Patagonia jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like a very weird detail, but I remember we talked about that, and it says a lot to me. Somehow that said a lot, because it's a company with very specific vision, and I care about the environment and everything. And like I mentioned before, the musical vision clearly aligned. So there's just a lot of
synergies,
in terms of personality and the way of viewing the world.
Yeah, I 100% remember the Patagonia as well. Is for me always a sign that someone is really connected to nature. Obviously, nature is what we live and breathe at Purified. It's a big part of our narrative. How important is that aspect, or nature in general, for you?
Hugely, although in a different way, I would say. Thing is, I grew up in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands, of course, is in South Africa. So the nature we do have is a bit like artificial nature, if you will. The place I grew up in literally was just sea 100 years ago, and we, being Dutch, put some sand in there and said this is a place where people can live. But still, I lived relatively close by the water, so very often, from when I was maybe 15 years old, anytime I wanted to sort of reset personally, find inspiration, find relaxation. I used to bike to the water and just sit by the water and stare at the water and listen to the waves. And the nature that's close to my house is also like, or my old house, I should say, is also, a very natural place to reset. I value it really, really highly.
Yeah. Speaking of water, which is somewhat the main inspiration behind Purified, I often connect to what calmness the ocean brings you. At the same time, it's so raw, so powerful. It makes you feel like you're nothing. You're a very small part of the world when you stare at the ocean and understand you're in front of something that could swallow you, that is so immense, and a lot of it is not even documented or known yet about it. Do you have a special connection to the ocean like that, or do you mainly also feel this calmness that I mentioned?
Especially the first thing you mentioned. Like I said, literally, there was a time in my life where almost every week I would just bike to the water and sit on as a Dutch person, sit on a dike and just watch the waves come and go. And like you said, it gives a sense of calmness and puts everything in perspective, I guess. And then I also have a fascination for just anything marine, basically, and really puts it in perspective to think about how much there is that we don't know about, that I haven't seen, and how we can be very focused on our own lives as humans when we're really not that relevant. Well, we are relevant in a negative sense, but if we would objectively see ourselves, we would think, we're just one of very many species.
Quite insignificant.
When there are a lot of species that are just so special. I always get really annoyed by nowadays there's so many people that want to go up to space, and I'm like, why would you need to? We have
so much
we
to
have so look into the sea, look at an octopus. Isn't that, why do you need aliens if you have octopi? That's way more. Especially I come to think of it, octopi is something I very specifically have a really deep fascination for.
100%. Interesting. I personally also relate to the ocean so much because I think it's a bit similar to music, that calmness in a break, the rawness and power in a drop, and just the fluid emotion in between that. It's a bit what music does for me. It overwhelms you. You're out of control. It just takes you. You're being swept away with it, and that is exactly what I feel in music as well.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Right. So maybe coming towards the end, what more do you think we can expect from you after this album as it's about to come out? And
honestly, what I love about this moment in my career and my musical journey is that I'm not 100% sure myself. So of course I'll be playing more shows, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with people all around the world even more. But musically, I love the feeling of having this story that I just finished. And now I feel very open to experiment in all kinds of directions, which I have done whilst finishing the album. Every new track that I've started has been that way. And now we're at a point, I think, where we start thinking, okay, now there's a new list of 20 demos. What do we do with this? And I'm not sure if it's going to be a new album or whatever. I think it will I'm trusting that it will naturally find a way. Either way, I really look forward to playing more shows. And I already have some new tracks that I'm really excited about. But whether those are going to be singles or that's first, I'm going to really enjoy sharing this album with the world and hoping that people react to it the way I want to. Although I try not to stress too much about how big of an audience it reaches, because I always say 10 people that connect really deeply are way more valuable than 100 people that just click like, you know. So yeah, it's mainly just a really exciting feeling having the album go into the world and letting the world do with it what they want. And then after that, we'll see.
Yeah, it's also really important to reflect on that and also look back, be proud of what you accomplished, and to acknowledge the work that went into this. Nowadays, or I struggle sometimes with that I so quickly see the next thing. Oh, I have to work on this, I have to work on that. And I never really look back and treasure what one has achieved. You seem more in tune with that.
Yeah, I think now I am. I'm not always. I definitely not. And I can be very, of course, I've had this, especially over the past months, stressed about, is the album going to be good enough? Is this going to be that in time? Are people responding, etc.? But right now, I'm in a place where I'm very aware of, like, this is a huge milestone in my life. This is literally just, even making the album was already like a dream, one of my biggest dreams. It's something that came true. Now it's here. And now I feel very open-minded, I guess, to see where everything leads now. And I just try not to force it. And of course I listen to other people's music, but I try not to worry too much about the trends and just listen to my own gut feeling of, like, okay, where do I want to go? And we'll see.
How much pressure do you feel to stay within a certain line that you maybe definitely started already a little bit? You're known for a certain sound. You say you feel like it's almost like a blank canvas now, and you feel quite open, which is very liberating artistically.
Yeah.
Do you feel outside pressure to stick to a certain line?
Sort of, I do, because people think of you, that's just the way the world works right now. People will always think this is a melodic artist that only does deep, or, people will put you in a box. But what I've sort of learned over the past couple of years, especially over my Purified releases, when I think about it, is through my musical journey, I've developed such a specific taste that it doesn't matter too much if I'm making an ambient track or a very deep house track like Melancholy Party, or making a more euphoric track like Listen to the Silence, for example. Somehow naturally I will find a way to make it my own. So for sure I'll be experimenting with different sounds, and people might think, that doesn't sound like Corren Cavini, but I'm quite confident that even if I try, let's say, 140 BPM trance track, it will still
be you,
be me, because I try not to worry too much about, this is the trend, so it has to sound like this. And of course, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of moments where I feel very where I feel a lot of pressure, like you can say you don't worry about the numbers, but it's what in the end the music industry is also an industry. So you do try to grow and reach bigger audiences. So I do feel stress every now and then, but I try to, especially when I start to make music, I try to flip that switch, forget about it, and remind myself what I talked about earlier, that I believe authenticity, even if it doesn't make you explode right now, will create a connection that lasts. And that's something I care about way more than now I do, at least, than just going
100%. I was thinking, when you mentioned before, is the album good enough? Is that, in your opinion, good enough for yourself, or do you think that's an external factor? Good enough for who?
Oh, that's a good question. It has a couple of aspects, I guess. In terms of story, I'm really, really happy with how the album turned out. Like, not just in terms of like the story I can tell besides it, but also if you listen to the full album, I feel like it has the right flow of energy throughout, and it sounds how I want to. However, I'm such a finicky person that if I listen to the masters now and the mixes, there will always be something, a snare that I think is too loud, a kick that whatever, those types of details. But I've learned that I will always have this. I can work 10,000 hours on one track and I will still feel like this. So I won't say I don't hear things that I could improve, but I've learned to
let go at some
to
point.
let go and say, this is the point where it's going into the world, and people will listen to it or they won't, and it will reach the people. And just sort of, it's not easy. There definitely are moments where I do overthink it a lot, but generally speaking, I do find a way to sort of let go and
So it's about being good enough for your own judgment. That you are probably quite a perfectionist. And
well, it's that, and it's about mental health training in being able to find a way to stop worrying at a certain point. I've had to do so much work on my mental health that I've sort of learned, also with doing so much music throughout the past 15 years, that I've sort of learned to deal with these insecurities in a way that sort of keeps me sane.
It's also good to know and healthy to know the difference between, the self-doubt that is always healthy in a certain amount that will just drive you further. A bit of self-criticism is always good because it keeps you improving. As long as you know, okay, here's a line and this is not necessary for me to improve anymore. This is now getting into a destructive way, which we surely know all about because we're always too hard on ourselves. From my perspective, I think you've been doing wonderfully. These tracks are amazing. I absolutely love the full album.
Thank you.
I have listened to it countless times. Maybe a quick question. How was it, as we'll have a vinyl edition of this one as well, how was it to hold the test pressing in your hands and just listening it for the first time?
Yeah, because I've done not only the writing, but also all of the technical stuff of finishing the record myself. Also the vinyl master and preparing everything for vinyl, I've done myself. And it's a bit stupid, but I've listened to the MP3s and WAV files of the album countless times. But having something physical in your hands that you put on a record player, I press play, and the first track is the track Home, which of course has really deep emotional significance. So it was definitely a moment of just I literally burst into tears as it opened up, and it was really meaningful. It not in a sad way, in a way of like, wow, all of this happened and this is where I am now.
That's wonderful to hear.
Moment of a lot of things coming together, but mostly I felt really in that moment, specifically playing a physical record and knowing what all of everything that surrounds it was a moment of feeling very grateful of where I am in life. And
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're super excited to see what's coming up next from you. One of our absolute esteemed and most talented artists. And happy to have you, happy to do this album with you. And thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you for everything.
Yeah, I wish you all the best. You deserve the best. And can't wait to see what's next from you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corren.